Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Q&A podcast. 6-0 Birds. All the energy in the world for this past game against the Cowgirls Dallas Cowboy team. I'm here with my favorite person, my main man, Quintin Mikell. Q, say what's up to the people.
What's up, everybody? What a time! What a time to be alive, man! What a time to be a Philly sports fan, man! So excited, man!
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, look, that's how you feel after that game right there, like this.
Yeah.
You know. So before we get into the game, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Thanks to everyone at Inside the Birds, Tyler Strasser, Jeff Mosher, Adam Kaplan, Josh, everyone that's responsible for putting the Q&A podcast on Inside the Birds platform. To all the fans that are tuning in, thank you guys each and every week for tuning in to the podcast. Make sure you follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, if you have questions for us, email them to insidethebirds@gmail.com. Again, insidethebirds@gmail.com. You can find this podcast on Amazon, also Apple, and YouTube. So make sure that you are following us and finding all of our episodes. And we want to say thank you guys. Now, for the slacking, which was the Eagles destroying the Cowboys again, like the old days, running the football on them, beating up the loudmouth DeMarcus Lawrence. There are several clips of that dude on his face, Jason Kelsey, pancaking him one time. There are so many clips. This was such a feel-good game. And all of the people that came out to the game, Q, let's get right into it. It's been a long time since the Phillies were good in the same year and the Eagles were good in the same year. 2008, the Phillies won the World Series, and we made it to the NFC Championship game, which we lost to Arizona Cardinals. Um, can you reflect on like the energy of when both teams are good or when multiple teams are good in the city, and how we feed off each other?
It felt great, man. It just you feel that energy not only from each other and all the other teams having success, but also the fans. It's funny when I started thinking about this time, the 2008 season, and I will never forget this to the day I die. I remember after the Phillies won the World Series, we have practice, we show up, we go into the locker room after practice. We're all tired. Uh, you know, don't necessarily feel like talking to the media because you know where it's headed. And I'll never forget Les Bowen walking up to me with this little silly grin on his face, smiling. He's like, "So the Phillies won the World Series," and his very next question was, "When are you guys gonna win one?" And I'm sitting there like, dude, can it be more than 20? Like, we're not even 24 hours out from the Phillies winning, and you're already talking to me about what we're gonna do for the Super Bowl. So
Classic
Les,
Les Bowen.
classic Les, and I just remember, man. But that's what it's like, man. That's how hungry the fan base is. That's how hungry the city is for everyone to be successful, and the feeling of one team having success going to rub off on the next team, and then that the next team, and pretty soon everybody's expected to get a championship all in the same year. So it's a great feeling. It's great to be a part of it, and excited.
You know what I love to see is when other teams, i.e., Phillies, Sixers, Flyers, even celebrities, when
Yeah,
people that are from Philadelphia area, whether it's Mike Trout coming to the games all the time, or we
Ryan
had
Philippe.
Meek Mill, we had Joel Embiid, Bradley
Yeah,
Cooper, all of these people that attend the games. It just shows like the synergy that's tied to the Eagles and how there's a common bond. And when the Sixers are good, you always see the Eagles at the games, and or when we can get a chance to go to the Phillies games, or what have you, right? So both all teams kind of feed off each other, especially in this town. And that leads to my next question for you. Philly is known around the world to have a very avid and passionate fan base. Do you think there's jealousy outside of the city when it comes to other like players wanting to experience that, or even from like my me looking at it from before I moved here, like I always knew that the fans were passionate, and I wanted to know what it would be like that. Do you think that players have those types of things in their mind?
Oh, yeah,
Either
absolutely.
jealousy or envy of wanting to be here, or man, I don't want to be there at all.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was listening to AJ Brown after the game. He was doing a interview, and he was talking about, Meek Mill coming out, and the fans, and how it felt like a Super Bowl, a Super Bowl playoff type atmosphere. And I definitely think that is something around the league. Now, there's some markets, obviously, the markets like the Green Bays and the what maybe the Kansas City Chiefs of the world, where they have a pretty good fan base. But it's just so unique in Philly because it's 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 like I don't know how to explain it. It's like the mindset of the team and the mindset of the city are like one and the same. It's
Mm,
no, blue collar, go to work, put your pill on, not taking no shit from nobody. Like that's just the mentality, and it kind of just filters into the team, and it filters in really in all the different sports in the city. And
yeah.
it's really unique. And I do agree with you. I do think that some players around the league are very envious of what it's like to play here.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think that when you see it on a national stage, excuse me, when you see it on a national stage like we saw it last night, I think that's one of those games that if you play in freaking Cincinnati
Yeah.
or you're playing in Arizona right now, you're just like, dude, like we need that atmosphere. And just think about it, like AJ Brown's coming off some really good Tennessee Titans scenes,
Mhm.
and it's the Music City. It's live in Nashville, but it's not live like Philadelphia. And you can hear it when he's talking about it, talking about like Philly, this city, man. I love this city. This city is lit. They bring the energy. They love this thing. Like it gets you hyped up for the game, and that's different. And that right there is recruiting. And it's not recruiting as in a college sense, but free agents are taking note and appearing, and taking inventory on like, man, Philly looked like a place I can go hang out and have a good time, and also win some games, and go far in life after football because of the fans. And to the fans out there, thank you guys for making Philly shine. Philly was on a national stage last night, and the city completely shined. And I was proud, like just looking in. I was like, yeah, that's what it's
Yeah.
supposed to be like. This is what it's supposed to be like. So let's get
No
into the
doubt.
game a little bit.
All right.
All right.
Go ahead.
Eagles are 6-0, the only remaining undefeated team in the National Football League. Are we the best team in the National Football League? We're the only undefeated team. Are we the best team?
I mean, the famous quote, "You are what your record says you are," right? So
Okay.
we 6-0. All right. There's no other team that can say that they have not lost. So right now, this moment, tonight, the Eagles are the best team in the league. I'll put that out there. The Eagles are the best team in the league right now.
Oh, hot take. I love my team. We're the best team in the NFC East and the NFC. However, I love my team. Do I think, excuse me, I got a little bit of cough. Do I think that we can beat anybody on any given Sunday? Yes. Do I think that we're better than the healthy Buffalo Bills team? I would be lying to you to say today that we can put up the sheer number of points that the Buffalo Bills can put up.
Yeah, that's fair.
And And that's the only team that I think that the Eagles will have a hard time beating. Not necessarily a hard time that is unlikely for them to beat. Everyone else in the NFL, I think that the Eagles are a better team than everybody else. I think the Eagles are a better team than the Chiefs.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the
see
Eagles
that.
are a better team than the Bengals. I think the Eagles are a better team than everybody in the NFL except for the Buffalo Bills, and which is saying a lot.
Yeah. That team is tough, man. I was watching them
It's
play.
just that they got Josh Allen is unreal.
Yeah.
The dude is unreal, and Gabe that like they have a legit path, and I think that our team can get there. We leave a lot of points on the field.
Yes. Yes.
So once we get to the point where we're averaging in that 30-point range and we can do that consistently at 28, 30-point range, and we can do that, my story will change real fast. But we leave too many points on the field in the third and the fourth quarters in order to be in that top echelon teams.
That's good. That's a good point. So leading into the next part, then we kind of were hashing out a little bit, but so you don't really consider us a Super Bowl favorite? Do you consider us a Super Bowl contender? Could we make it to the Super Bowl?
100. I think that we're a Super Bowl favorite. I don't think that we're a Super Bowl winner today.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that we're the favorite to be in the Super Bowl with the Buffalo Bills or contender. I think that we're favored in NFC, not favored as the winners, but and I think that's what the question is. But we're the favorite in the NFC, and I think that anybody that's looking at it without an emotion and looking at it just from a pure football sense will say that the Buffalo Bills are probably the best team in football, and the Eagles have something to say. And my tune will change once the Eagles starts to put up the number of points offensively to kind of match what the defense is doing.
Got you. Yeah.
Once we start to put up those like, it's hard to get Buffalo to punt. And for you guys that don't understand what I'm saying, it's hard to get the Buffalo Bills team to just punt the football. And very rarely are they going to have times in the game where they're off the field because they made a mistake. You get that? Like, they're not getting off the field because they had made a mistake. The defense made a play to get them off the field. That's the difference. We still get off the field because of misreads, penalties, drop passes, stuff like that. Once we get that taken care of, which is very, very possible for us to do in these next 11 games to do, there may be by week 11, 12, you may hear me say, oh, now we the best team in football. As of today, I won't say I think we're second best.
Okay. I'll take that.
Man, right. It's cold over here. Flying back and forth to Michigan.
Oh, Michigan.
My man Jeff
I knew it was gonna come out
on the pregame, and he can't speak right now, but it was glorious. Messing around with Michigan. Great weekend for me. Phillies win. Birds win. Michigan wins.
That reminds me of the complete opposite of that. I don't know if you follow Spice Adams on Instagram, but he was he made a post of him crying. His high school team lost, the Penn State Nittany Lions lost, and the Chicago Bears lost, and he just had tears just coming down his eyes.
Tears coming down his eyes. That's funny. That's funny.
So it's the complete opposite of you, man. Great weekend for you.
Great weekend.
Sorry, Jeff, but I was rooting for Michigan.
Hey, there we go. Next time I'm going to make the bet a lot worse. All right, topic 2, Eagles offense versus Dallas defense. Discuss the game plan to read Micah Parsons. And this is something that you can speak to. instead of blocking him. Why did that work? And what could Dallas have done to adjust that better?
I mean, I think the game plan, especially the first half, was phenomenal. It was almost like wherever Parsons was, it was almost like they audibled or changed the play depending on where he was at. If he was, at one of the ends, it was going to be that the read option with the flat guy coming. If he was if he was lining up in the stance as like a linebacker, it was almost like they were going to, drop back passing game, more run game. And so it was really, really cool and unique to see. And I mean, especially that first half, with a player like Parsons, you have, a couple options, but the main option is you got to make them think. A player like that's kind of cuts loose and just gets after it. It's like a wrecking ball. You have to slow them down in some way. You make them think. You give them things to look at. You give them things to think about. You have them, reading the zone read, and then all of a sudden he's got to go into the flat and cover the flat. So I think they did a phenomenal job with him. And I noticed in the second half, they started to play with his alignment a little bit more. Yeah. They would line him up at the end, but then drop him into coverage. Yeah. They would line him at linebacker and then blitz him and try to change up the way they were doing things there. But overall, I mean, it was just nothing he could do. I mean, he was I felt like by the end of the game, he was so confused and just thinking so much that it just slowed him down like almost like two full steps, man.
It's definitely irritating to be Micah Parsons. Great job by Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen in order to devise a plan that way, because that's not something that I would have thought of. And it was just a great game plan. I was very, very surprised to see the lack of change from Dan Quinn, their defensive coordinator. I thought a simple change would have been is to, like we talk about, let Micah take the back and loop somebody outside.
Yeah.
Right. I thought that would have like at least caused the offense to adjust again, but there was no adjustment until late in the game. And by that time, your player's already flustered, frustrated. He's not in the game. He had 3 pressures, and that's after Lane Johnson was out of the game, right? So he didn't get home the way that he has been getting home. And it's a frustrating game, and it's a great job by Nick Sirianni, great job by Shane Steichen to devise that plan. Not only did they read him, to run, but they read him to pass off of it too. So they had them all over the place. It wasn't just like, Marty Morning would, we used to have this play called Packer Screen. And Packer Screen was like 77 fakes. Like it looked, I'm exaggerating for sure, but it was run. Then it was pass. Then it was reverse. Then it was pass. And then it was screen. It was like, and you can see at times like the people rushing, they would be like, they didn't know what to do. And before you know it, we hit a screen and pop. And that's when Brian Westbrook used to always take really long distance. The Packer screen was one of those plays that they still run to this day, but it's like 4 different fakes before they throw the screen. It's a long developing play, but if you can get it off, it confuses everyone. And it just reminded me of that when they were sending AJ Brown to the flat. Oh, it's run. Mm-hmm. No, it's Jalen run. Oh no, it's AJ to the flat. Mike Parsons like, yo, man, what is going on right now? it was a lot of information to get through for him. And I thought it was an excellently devised plan. I think it'll be much different the next time they play, because again, like I said, if you take the read responsibility away from Parsons and just have him responsible for the ball carrier, now Jalen Hurts has to keep the ball, and that looper comes around.
Yeah.
And then another thing that probably was going to happen with that, if you see that play again, they're probably going to go cover 2 in order to put somebody in the flat.
Yeah, they're going to have to. Huh? Yeah, they're going to have to with that play.
Yeah, with that play, that's the only way you're going to be able to defend it.
Maybe, and then just to add a little bit to that, I did notice, and I don't know if he was just doing this on his own, but DeMarcus Lawrence just started just taking the read every time. Like he was just if he saw the read, he was just going after the tackle. He was going to tackle the running back every time. So I don't know if maybe Parsons wasn't listening to his coaching this week. Maybe he was just a
They had
rookie,
two
like a
on
young
one.
guy. He had the 2-on-1. I don't know what was going on with him, but I did see DeMarcus Lawrence. So, you got one guy that's playing it probably how we were talking about playing it, and then you
Yeah,
got another guy that's playing it slow. So they'll probably have a plan next time we play him for that.
yeah. Now, once again, Eagles do most of the damage in the second quarter. Are they just better when they get the basics, get back to the basics and like get rid of the scripted plays? Like, because the second quarter, the first 15 is probably done, probably first couple series. Excuse me for all this coughing, you guys.
Um, I think it's part of their process. I think in the first quarter, especially when they go through their first 15 scripted plays, I think they're more or less just trying to feel out and trying to figure out what the game plan for Dallas is going to be. And I feel like by the second quarter, they're like, okay, we know what they're going to try to do. We know if we line up in this, where Parsons is going to be. We know if we see this, this is what's going to happen. So I think it's kind of a process of the way that they do things in that coaching staff. And to me, I've always had this, like, if I was ever a coach, to me, if we win the coin toss, and maybe it's because I'm a defensive guy, but I always feel like that first drive, that first quarter, that first 15 was kind of overrated. I think oftentimes because of that, you're just feeling each other out. You're trying to, it's like when you go into a boxing match and, the first round, you just kind of jabbing and you're trying to feel like what their defense looks like. You hitting, a couple of jabs, a couple of hooks just to see what's going on. And then once you get a feel for what they're trying to do, then you're coming with a better game plan. So I feel like that's kind of a process of this coaching staff, and that's how they like to do things.
No, I agree with you. Just from my experience with the first 15 is based on what you know from film.
Mm-hmm.
These are the plays that we're gonna scheme up of what we see on the film. Remember that the first 15 plays they could go extremely well, which there has been games where the
Mm-hmm.
Eagles' first 15 were amazing. And they moved the ball right down the field and scored a touchdown or what have you. Their first 15 is amazing. Teams adjust or they come out with something different. That second quarter gives you an idea what their game plan is. There's an assumption based on what you see on film, an educated guess based on what you see on film, and then there's the actual game, the reality of what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
The adjustments that are being made, just like you're saying. So in the second quarter, there's no doubt now.
Got you. Yeah.
Right. The doubt is gone. Like you're making an educated guess, but there's moving parts. And usually by that time, both teams have exhausted their fancy wrinkles, and
Yeah.
now it's back to things that they normally do or whatever game plan that they have for that game has already been declared. And now we can adjust off of that. And I'm sure they have someone on the sideline that's feeding them information at a high level. And whoever's making in-game adjustments is doing a fantastic job in the second quarter.
Yeah.
Because in-game adjustments are extremely hard for an offense. It's usually after halftime.
Yeah.
Like if you're getting handed to you first quarter, second quarter, it's hard to get out of it until halftime. Halftime, you come with a whole different game plan. But yeah, and that's usually when
Right.
all the coaches get together, because you got to remember, even though like so if you're getting confused up front by the defensive line or the defensive coordinator, what plays will work, but they may not have been part of that game plan. And if
I
they're not
got
a
you.
part of that game plan, that means that the protections are not worked out.
Got you.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the plays are the same plays. However, the protections based on the team is different. So we may run this play out of 74 protection, but on this against this team, we're going to run it out of 50, 51 protection. right? Whatever,
Gotcha.
so that changes, and it's hard to adjust all of that in the series. That's why I usually at halftime, the offensive line coach, the offense coordinator, quarterback coach, like, yo, we need to run these plays. Oh, we're gonna run these out of this, and this, and then they're working it out amongst their group. This what happens, and it's usually the offensive line and that marriage in order for that play to be adjusted, and that's why I usually teams work better after halftime. But for some reason, our team, and I think it's because of Jason Kelsey, and I think it's because of the veterans offensive line men in general, the cohesive unit, they can make in-game adjustments with no problem.
Yeah.
Does this make sense?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great
Yeah.
stuff, man.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's a lot of work that go into these plays. Like, it's not just, oh, let's just run this play. No, we got to figure out how we're gonna protect it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Offense.
Yeah.
Too much. That's too much work, man. All the meetings and all that.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Nah, man.
It's a lot of meetings just between the quarterbacks and receivers, the offensive line, and the quarterbacks. Like, it's a ton of meetings. Like, it's a ton of meetings. Ton of meetings. Yeah. Defense, see ball, get ball. Yeah. No thinking. No.
That's how we like it, man. Shoot, all this. No, we just gonna hit. That's it. Just run and hit. That's
That's
it.
funny. Jalen Hurts. No. Let's go back. So let's look at it from this perspective. Third quarter drive in Devontae Smith touchdown. Discuss the potency of the run game on that drive. Is the run game still this team's best weapon?
Yes. I think the run game, we get to see the run game when things aren't going well. When things are just kind of a little, a stall in the offense, maybe defense is on the field a little too long. Maybe the opposing team's offense starting to get some plays and getting some drives. So that's when we see the run game. And I have yet to see, for an entire 4 quarters, this run game get stopped. And so when you're able to just pull that out of the hat at any point in the game and be able to execute the way that they did, be able to slow the game down, be able to get some chunk yardage like they were getting last night, it just makes a huge difference. And I do think that this is still the team's best weapon right now.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that it's a fail-safe. And yes, is it their best weapon? I don't think that. I think it's what they do best.
Mm-hmm.
So in turn, it's their best weapon. I don't know. I think it's just wordplay for me. I think their best weapon is AJ Brown.
Oh yeah.
Because I think that he's the matchup that makes the difference, especially in games that are tight against teams that are not going to allow you to run the ball the way you want to run the ball. And I think that we haven't come across that. And I think as the year goes on, people are seeing it more. It's going to be harder to continue to run the ball as effectively as we are doing it. And I think him being the X factor and having usually a mismatch on the outside and and also we can just play through him as well. So for a player perspective, I think that he's our most dangerous weapon. But over what we do best is run the ball as of right now. We run the ball better than we throw it. And that's just true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. We good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Jalen, let's move on. So Jalen said that in his meeting, he said that the offense left some meat on the bone in the past game. You agree with that, or is Dallas is being good? Like,
I think that the Eagles always leave meat on the bone. And this goes back to the point that I made earlier in the show because we can be a 28, 30 point plus averaging team. We just go to sleep for quarters. And why is that? I don't know. I don't think it's because of the Cowboys, because if was it the Redskins? Was it the Cardinals? No, I think it's the Eagles. I don't think it's because the Cowboys were good. I think the team is battling themselves in those moments and learning how to close out games and close out teams and not step on people's throat, not give them a second chance. Because eventually, as these teams get better, as the season goes on, there's going to be some teams that fight back, and now you're dealing with momentum, and now you're dealing with a rowdy crowd in the last minutes of a game, and it's harder. So it has nothing to do with the Cowboys or the Commanders or the Cardinals or whatever team that we're playing, the Jaguars, making the game out of it or what have you, and the Eagles coming back, right? We have to figure out ways to stop being penalized in those moments. We got to figure out a way to stop going 3-4 out, getting the first down and possessing the ball we can possess the ball for 6 minutes and not and punt it. You know what I mean? Or kick a field goal. Like, so we're notorious of it, but we're not getting in the red zone. We got to figure that part out. But it's not the team, it's the Eagles. Yeah.
They just got to figure out how to finish, man. And I to add to that too, and we'll probably get on this a little bit later, but it's the same thing with the defense. The tackling gets sloppy, even special teams gets a little sloppy towards the end of the game. And sometimes when you have a young team, especially at certain positions like the skill positions, you get that mentality, like you start to relax. Like you think, okay, we got this locked on, got this on lock. Let's relax a little bit. So you're absolutely right that put the foot on the neck mentality's got to be there.
100%. And that's it. I just think that we have a young team that's having a lot of fun, and they're having a lot of fun because they like being around each other and all of that stuff. But you have to learn how to be a professional too. And there is some veterans on this team that know how to do it, but at the same time, you want to stay loose. And I just think that the entire team, coaches too, are learning how to win, and they're preserving wins, but they're learning how to play this game. And it is going to take a team that's going to go toe to toe for them, and they have to be perfect in order to be perfect.
That's real.
Yeah.
All right. So next part, do you think the Eagles are taking enough down the field shots?
No. Absolutely not. The Eagles fall in love with the RPO. And at times it's RPO, run, RPO, pass a little bit off the RPO, quick slant, middle of the field route. You'd be like, man, this is this game. And so for the fans out here that are watching us today, and this is what I'm talking about. Part of the reason you can stall as an offense is that when you play the game the way the Eagles are playing a game with, intermediate routes, RPOs, running the football, there's a lot of third downs, and you have to play perfect football, right? You can't have negative plays. You can't do all of that. You got to play perfect football. You sustain these long drives, which is power punches to a team. If you get chunk plays, you don't have to be perfect. That's the way that this league works. You don't have to be perfect if you can get 40 yards. You just skip 4 first downs. you know? So you have to be able to take those shots down the field. And those things are haymakers to teams. You want to talk about getting somebody benched? Let a dude keep giving up 20+ yard plays because that defensive stat the coordinators freaking hate.
Chunk plays, yeah.
Chunk plays. They people can't stand chunk plays. And I'm not saying you need a 40, 50 yarder, but you got to have a multiple 20-yard explosive plays in order to happen. So you can't have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, seeing these guys jump over people's heads consistently and not throw it down there. Somebody's going to get too excited and at least pass interference. And guess what? In the NFL, you still get those yards.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be perfect. And I think that we're playing perfect football for halves and we're doing a thing for halves. It's hard to sustain that. The only quarterback that I know that can, three quarterbacks that I know that can sustain that in my time was Peyton, Tom, and Drew. Everybody else needs chunk plays. Everybody else. Ben Roethlisberger needs chunk plays. Phillip Rivers needs chunk plays. Matt Ryan needs chunk plays. Like, when you really consider it, a team that can methodically move the ball down the field without making mistakes and just keep paper cutting you to death was the Patriots with Tom Brady, was Peyton Manning, and it was Drew Brees.
Yeah.
In which we've all lost games to them where they had the ball for like 10 minutes before. There's only a few teams that can do that. And what I'm saying is that the Eagles can do it in spurts, but they can't do it in an entire game. And so you can't allow that to be your identity only. Yeah. So take as many shots as you can down the field.
No, I agree. It's just, for me, it's hard. Like, when it's working, it's hard. I get your point. And it's just hard to argue with it when they're winning. But I do see coming in the future, there's going to be teams, especially you get into that playoff run, into the playoffs, there are going to be teams where you're going to have to take some shots. Yeah. And those receivers can go. All of them can go. Just like you said at the beginning of the year, you called it. Yeah. So it's time. Yeah.
Let me ask you this question, though, Q. Mm-hmm. If you averaging 6 yards a pop, who cares if you get it on first down or second down?
Nobody.
If we're going to be in third and something anyway, we're going to be in third and four, whatever it is anyway, or whatever, right? So, especially if you hit off a first down run and you got a second and short, man, shoot the ball down the field. You're going to run for it on third down anyway to get it. You know, surprise some people. You backed up, take one out of there. You know, shoot one down the field.
So what you're saying is we need to get some of that Al Davis in here, some of that play action, and throw it over their heads.
My man Obi Olibo in college from Baltimore. We used to play Madden all the time. He used to say, run, use a catch. run, use a catch. So that was his thing. I'm gonna run it. I'm gonna throw it down the field, use a catch. That's the way you gotta play this game. It's the perfect combination to us as a team. We run the ball so effectively. I don't understand why our play action deep shots are not coming at a high rate. I just don't. Yeah.
Well, maybe in the self-scouting during the bye week.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe Steichen will be like, you know what? Jason's right. Let's do a little bit of.
Damn right, Steichen. I'm always right. What you think this is? I can't get no rider.
That's awesome.
All right, will this game be different with that?
Yes, I think so.
Oh,
yeah.
Was you a Mike Irvin train?
Listen, I don't know. Okay, two things. First of all, Cooper Rush, I don't know what happened to his arm, but it looked like he had a wet noodle out there. Like, every one of his passes is dying. The defensive secondary especially did a great job of showing one thing pre-snap and then change and going to a different coverage post-snap. With a young quarterback, you can get away with that all day, and the Eagles did all day. I think a quarterback like Dak, with his experience, he's able to see some of those things. He's able to move in the pocket. They left some plays out there too. And we were fortunate that the Eagles defense is phenomenal, but there was also a couple of plays where, Dallas had something going, and for whatever reason, it just didn't make the plays. But I think it's a different game with Dak in there. Definitely.
I think it's a different game. I still think they lose.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. So I think I still think they will lose with Dak in there. Now, I think that they just don't have what they're missing Amari Cooper badly.
Yes.
They are missing Amari Cooper badly, and it's shown. It's just as as bad as Devontae Adams leaving Green Bay. They miss these plays, like Tyreek leaving Kansas City. Like when you played the Buffalo Bills and you start to see like these guys getting covered, it's like, and Mahomes buying as much time as he did, and you like, somebody got to get open besides Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
And it's the same way. You miss Amari Cooper. So I think Dak would have made the game different, but I don't think that the Cowboys can beat the Eagles with the roster currently constructed. And we're going to get into this in this next segment against the defense, Cowboys offense versus defense. But just to be frank, the Eagles secondary didn't respect their receivers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it comes down to. Like, whenever you're that close to that many passes, you just think that you think you fat. Like, there ain't nothing more disrespectful as a receiver is when the cornerbacks sit on everything.
Yeah.
They like, dude, this dude is not fast enough or quick enough, not shifty enough to make me get out of the stands.
Yep.
Yeah. And that used to happen to me sometimes, and I would just run into him. Route at 10 yards. I'm going to run 11 just so I can collision them. Because I can collision you and still get out of the break. Everybody can't do that. But
that sounds like OPI to me, man.
Whatever. A couple of them ain't that bad. All right, Q, let's get into this Mojo read really fast.
Okay.
All right, Mojo. Mojo is building the sports stock market where you can invest in your favorite players. Invest in what you know. Turn your sports knowledge into real money with Mojo, the sports stock market. Real stats, real value, shares entitle you to a guaranteed payout based on career-ending stats. No off days, no off seasons. Share prices rise and fall constantly in real time based on career-long projections. Cash out anytime. Build a portfolio, buy and sell on your own terms. Every play, every game, and on every season. Call to action. Mojo is available in New Jersey and on iOS, and by just downloading the app, you have the chance to win up to 10,000 in free shares of player stock. Click the link in description for a chance to win up to 10,000 in free shares of player stock. Must be 21 or older, physically located in New Jersey to trade on Mojo. Have a gambling problem? Help is available at 1-800-GAMBLER. I'm going to read this last part again. Mojo is available in New Jersey on iOS. By just downloading the app, you have the chance to win up to $10,000 in free shares of player stock. Click the link in description for a chance to win up to 10,000 free shares of player stocks. And you can click that link and go to the website at www.mojo.com. Again, www.mojo.com. must be 21 years or older, physically located in New Jersey to trade on Mojo, have a gambling problem, help is available at 1-800-GAMBLER. Mojo, the player stock market. And let's talk about that for a brief little moment. Jalen Hurts is up 43% since last year. Do you think his stock is going to continue to rise?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
His stock is almost
Especially
at $50. That's really high for to let you guys know. His stock is at $50 for a player, and this is very, very intriguing to anybody that's into the stock market, into rising and falling of businesses. Now you can do this with players. You think he's going to continue to rise?
Yeah, man. Because listen, we know Steichen's gonna be watching the show, right? He's gonna go through the bye week. He's gonna listen to what you said. He's gonna say, you know what? We got to get his stock up. We got to get Jalen's stock up. We got to start throwing some deep shots. So absolutely, his stock's about to rise. I'm about to, as soon as I get off, I'm gonna go online and get me some of this stock because I know it's going up.
All right, so everybody in the country should have been selling Cooper Rush's stock, knowing that they were playing against some ball hawks in the Eagles secondary. Think his stock is going is forever going now. But anybody that sold before the Eagles game, you probably made yourself
money.
A little bit of money. This is pretty interesting. And you look at a guy like Miles Sanders, right? Jalen Hurts takes a lot of the touchdowns away from the running back because of the type of player that he is. So it's hard for him to kind of keep a value, even though he scored a touchdown yesterday. He's down 18%. So you think that'll continue to go down because Jalen kind of takes some of his touchdowns away with how well Jalen runs?
Yeah, Miles is an anomaly for me because, some games he goes off, some games he's not used as much. I'm not gonna say I'll stay away from him, but I'd be leery of putting too much in the Miles just because of the way the scheme is going right now. So that's a little tough one.
I'm gonna give
gotta hedge my bets on that one.
You gonna hedge your bets on that one? I'm gonna give you one I think I would take this one. AJ Brown is ranked 16th among receivers when it comes to player shares at $18 a share. 16th.
Ooh.
Do you think he's appropriately assessed when it comes to his value, or you think that he can go up a little bit more?
I think he can go up a little bit. I think he's been, even though he's kind of had like a breakout early on, he hasn't had that game
yeah,
right, where he's down the field mossing people like we're used to seeing when he was in Tennessee. He's had some really good games, so I think that number is definitely going to go up. So I would definitely buy him at 18 a share.
At 18 definitely. Share.
Get him on the low. Get him for the low.
Get him for the low. Yeah, so I definitely agree. I think that he's still in the top 10. Last time I checked, top 5 when it comes to receiving yards. So that kind of he has to score some more touchdowns. I'm pretty sure his stock is going up because of the touchdown he scored last night. So make sure you guys check out mojo.com for the player stock market. Q, let's get right back into this show. Let's talk about the defense.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you this question. You get the next. Let me ask you this question. Not as much pressure from the front four. We got no sacks. But Eagles still managed 12 pass breakups and 3 interceptions. How significant was the secondary in this win? Now, listen, this is your group. This is your time to ball. Your time to shine. Tell us how good these guys were last night.
Man, they played phenomenal ball. For me, my favorite part, especially watching the All-22 tape, was just seeing how intelligent the players are becoming, how they're working together. They're showing one thing, moving down to a different coverage. I saw some bracket coverages where they're playing very smart. They're playing, in out coverage on, on their slot receivers. Cornerbacks sitting on routes, Bradbury sitting on routes. The pick that
Garner Johnson.
I was going to talk about
So
Slay's pick where he slipped underneath that end route, and then Gardner Johnson making those plays. I mean that last interception he had where he scooped it off the right before it hit the ground was
athlete.
phenomenal. I mean that was a thing of beauty right there. So
Yeah.
this now, as you mentioned before, this receiver unit for the Cowboys isn't what they used to be, but even still, them boys was balling out there. So I was proud. I was loving every bit of it.
The reason I say for people that first of all, our team was balling. The secondary are the MVPs of the game, especially when you're not getting the pressure that you are accustomed to getting. Now we did get some pressure, but not the sacks and the hits and the pressure that we're accustomed to getting over this season. The secondary was like, all right, we got you. Don't worry about it. And they played the team as if the receivers couldn't run. And they were jumping routes. And let me give you an example of how good our secondary was. The number one receiver for the Cowboys, 5 receptions on 10 targets. You can't win games like that. The next best receiver, 2 receptions on 7 targets. Can't win games like that. Gallup. Right?
Yeah.
Noah Brown is 1 for 3. You can't win games unless you're in that 65 set. And me, I love to be in that 80% range as a player. Like I want to be 80% of the time or more. You throw the ball to me, I want that thing to be in my hands, caught. You start getting that 50% range, that's the quarterback is that 50% completion is messing with you.
Yeah.
That's how you get out of the league. I used to hate when the quarterback just throw the ball to me in the dirt. I'd be like, man, don't throw it out of bounds. Give me a chance to catch it. He's trying to get me kicked out of this place.
Mess your stats up.
Man, stop, you don't mess with, stop playing with me. So with that being said, the next part of this is the Gardner Johnson. I've been critical of Gardner Johnson, very critical of the Gardner Johnson. Talk about him changing his position, and I want to chime in when you're done.
Well, I like what he's doing. You can definitely tell when he's more comfortable. He's definitely more comfortable in space. He's still got a little bit to learn at that safety position, like that touchdown he gave up in the red zone. He was down there on the tight end, and sometimes those tight ends get a little sneaky. They start faking like they're blocking, they get out. So he's got a little bit of work to do, and guarding the tight ends in the box and all that stuff. But I mean, 2 picks, flying around the field.
He had the missed tackle on the first touchdown too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, and that it's that part of the game. It'll get there.
Yeah.
But for a player that can make the plays that he did in the open field, can make plays on the ball hawk that's right there. That's the stuff that you can't really teach. Yeah. So like the stuff in the box, that was the stuff I was good at, making tackles. That's the stuff that you can coach. The stuff that he's able to do naturally is stuff that you cannot coach. So that part of it is phenomenal. And the good part is he's going to be able to get better at those things. He's going to learn from those mistakes. He's going to learn from the missed tackles. I think it was a steal getting him when we got him. Yeah. So he's helped this secondary tremendously.
So I've been very critical of Gardner Johnson, and everybody that watched this show knows it. And it's not critical because I don't like the player. I love the player, especially when he's in New Orleans when he's at the nickel. And I had the chance to evaluate him as a receiver coach and rated him really high as one of the best nickels in the league during that time because of his ability to do a lot of things from the nickel position. I love what our defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, has done these last few weeks. They have put him on the post more than they have put him in the box. And that's the best thing that you can do for him because this is a high volume guy that when it comes to missing some tackles, he's going to miss some tackles because of the he's not familiar with these tackling angles. He's not familiar with some of these things that these guys are doing from that depth of safety. So with that being said, they said, okay, let me put Marcus Epps down more and let me put Gardner Johnson on the post a little bit more. And that's working out, and he's more productive. And we see him around the ball, which is a great coaching point for Jonathan Gannon. I know that you can play this game. It may not be at the strong safety or in a box making tackles all the time. Now, we can't hide you forever because there's games where we have to have you in a box based on a motion shift or whatever, where you have to rock and roll and you have to be in the box. So we can't hide you for everything. But if it's our choice, we're going to put you on the post and put Marcus Epps in the box. And that's working out for our team. And I think it's the best use of his talent and ability.
Yeah. And I will say this, I'll add to that, if that is the case, and I'm totally good with that. If Epps is in the box more, he's gonna need to do a little bit better making some tackles. He a couple of times, and I love don't take this the wrong way. I love the way the guy plays. I love his story. I love everything about him. He's fiery, flies around the ball. You know, he's not afraid to get in there and hit, but he's got to wrap up and come under control when he's coming in for some of these tackles.
Yeah.
And we saw, especially in the second half, a couple of those. He's flying like he's just coming in like a missile, like whoo. But then the runner's getting like 5 and 6 extra yards because he's just diving at their legs. So a little bit more shore up on the tackles from Epps. And I think they'll be just fine with that unit.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. So let's move on. So let's see what we got.
Any other secondary?
Yeah. So let's talk about that for you, and then I'll add my part to it. But are there any other players in the secondary that you feel stood out?
They're two corners, the two outside corners, just as much as Gardner Johnson. He had 2 picks, but 2 outside guys. Darius had a pick, had another pass breakup, and Bradbury caused the first pick. And he was near the ball, knocking balls down left and right. These guys are good football players, and it makes the defensive coordinator job that much easier, that you can call a vanilla defense and these guys make it look aggressive because they've seen so much dang football, and they're able to eliminate concepts, and they're able to see things in the backfield. And you got 2 guys that are good at off coverage. Darius Slay has done a ton of off coverage at the Detroit Lions. That's what their thing was, cover 3 in Detroit when he was there. And they as he got better, he's beginning to go to man. But when he was first there, it was just a cover 3 team where he's looking in the backfield. And Bradbury was in Carolina with Ron. And you know they're going to be a zone team. So he's excellent at knowing what's going on and reading route concepts. So when it comes to these 2 corners, they've seen so much football that it shows that they're making plays when they're not supposed to, just because they know what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, you know, I'll add to that for me, the 2 biggest surprises this year were Epps and Bradbury, because, you know, we saw everything in the last year with Nelson. We brought Nelson in, and I was hoping that Bradbury wouldn't be the same type of situation that we had with Nelson, but he's really played above and beyond what I was expecting. I mean, and I knew he was a good player. Just never know when you're bringing a vet into your locker room. But, I mean, he's been phenomenal. And like you said, playing smart football and making plays, man. I like it.
Yeah, he's a baller. And our secondary, you know, playing like the best one in the league right now.
Yeah, they can go.
Just to be honest. They're playing like the best group in the league right now.
Yeah,
I said what I said. We're leading the league in turnovers. I said what I said.
I like it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, you got it.
What changed in the second half that caused the Cowboys to move the ball?
It's funny. It almost feels, when I was watching the second half, it almost feels like Mike McCarthy took over the play calling, because a lot of the plays in the second half looked like vintage McCarthy. A lot of boots, zone read, not zone read, but zone run with some boots. Typical West Coast offense concepts. I just feel like in the second half, Dallas started to to run the ball a little bit. I think the defense, as we talked about a little bit, maybe
Kellen Moore beginning
relax
taking
a little
over?
bit. No, I think
Or
the
you
first
think
half was more Kellen Moore's offense. I think the second
McCarthy?
half was more McCarthy, where
Yeah.
it was like the old school West Coast type offense. Some of the raw concepts I was seeing were things like, Andy used to run and all those guys from the West Coast style offense was. But I think really the biggest part of what happened in the second half, like you said earlier, is the team just beating themselves. The team getting out of gaps, the team missing tackles,
American tackles.
not paying attention. The one touchdown they got, the big play on I call it the possum, where it's like the play action fake and the tight end or the crack blocker fakes like he's blocking, oh I'm
Yeah,
blocking,
fakes
then
like
he
Ross. Yeah,
just
then he
sneaks out the
spits
back
out in
end.
the cell. Yeah.
So just little things like that. I think it was really more the Eagles beating themselves in that and at certain parts in that second half.
Yeah, I just think that we lose. This is a very talkative team. Like when you watch the tape and watch the TV copy, this team is kicking it. And I think it's easy to lose focus when you got Batman capes and you're having a chummy time on the sideline. And I think all of it's good. Don't take me wrong. It's just that you got to be able to multitask and keep your focus in the game. And what I've learned over the years is that most teams cannot. You can't be theatrical and do all the things and kick it on the sideline and talk about, the balling and all of this stuff, right? In order and stay focused for the entire game. It's just very, very hard. You got to have an even kill mentality in order to stay that way. Now, the reason the Cowboys was able to get back in the game is that the Eagles were caught out of position a few times, not having enough men in the box, because they had the lead, and you would think that the Cowboys' way of getting back in the game would be to throw the ball. However, the Cowboys began to run the ball a little bit more, and it caught the Eagles off guard this series in the one which they scored. Now they made the adjustment a little bit later, but I thought in that series that they were just under prepared for the run game, which didn't make much sense to do at the time, but the Cowboys did it anyway, and it caught the Eagles off guard. And that's what I think, along with them just chilling.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my thought process. Let's get to the question, Q.
All right. So this is from Ron. This one's for you.
Okay.
All right. This is from Ron. And he's saying that it appears that, this is a good one. He's saying that it appears that Devontae Smith is a better blocker than AJ Brown. All right. So let's keep that in mind before we decide. Now, his question is, Jason, you're a receiver who put your body on the line. Is AJ Brown's poor blocking because of bad technique, or is it just want to? And if it is want to, how would you deal with that on a team?
I don't necessarily think that AJ Brown is a poor blocker, but you got to remember a lot of these things are what's allowed. And you can't play at Alabama and be a bad blocker. So the Slim Reaper, Skinny Batman, has always, from the day that he's gotten here, put his face in there. And that was taught to him by a group of men in Alabama that held everyone accountable. And I don't think that the Tennessee Titans and or Ole Miss was strong enough to hold a player of AJ Brown's caliber to that standard, because they can't replace AJ Brown and DK Metcalf. It's going to take them 10 years to replace those two players. However, at Alabama, Jameson Williams was next. However, at Alabama, Waddle was next. However, you get what I mean? So when you consider all those things, there's a fire under you to make you do it right. And then those behaviors kind of carry over. Like, you didn't have to tell me to go and block somebody, because that's what I did. I did that. Me and Bob Sanders used to go have some legendary battles in college of us just running into each other the entire time. Like, literally, me and him, who I'm not stopping, you not stopping. So I was built to dig out the safety or be physical. Everybody's not used to that. And I think that Devontae Smith and the examples that are being set, because AJ Brown is a willing participant and he's a good teammate, a guy like Devontae Smith will show you up on film so much that it either causes you to rebel against it or you come into the light and you start doing what he's doing as well. And I think the latter will be true with AJ Brown in those situations where there's not enough effort given, that he's going to put that effort in, because Devontae Smith will expose that in the film room. And another thing too, if you show you're a good blocker, you don't get the ball.
Yeah. That I've heard that before.
Which is some bull. But if you're a good blocker, you don't get the ball. So he like, dude, like there's the doggone, you had team Deshaun, like, I'm not letting him block for me. I'm just not. There are plays where there are plays where the ball was designed to go to me. And I look out there and I'm like, Macklin's not in the game. It's Deshaun. Deshaun, you come catch this ball. You have it. Because I'm going to get hit in the face. You know what I mean?
You got to pick your battles, man.
Yeah, pick your battle. Hey, man, you just catch it. I'll go block for you. You know what I mean? So that's how it is. So, like I said, like Zach Ertz didn't block when he was here. He went on pass route. He went on pass patterns.
Yeah.
So
that's a little.
It's not. It's controversial, but it's truth.
That's business, man. They're doing business. I will say there's two things. Two things I'm gonna say. First of all, did you see Zach Pascal when he stood up Parsons?
No, I didn't see it. I missed it.
Zach was in a crack split, and it looked like he was there to chip Parsons, and then it was gonna go to the tackle to Malata. Man, Zach went right down the middle.
Wow.
Stuck Parsons.
Oh, I gotta see it.
Oh, okay. So maybe AJ need to get with Zach a little bit, learn how to do some of that, because he got the body, the size to do it. So check that one out.
Yeah, and then I'm going back and look at it.
And I did see, and then the other part too, I'm gonna say, and that's kind of alluding to what you're saying. I did see a little bit of stuff I didn't like on film from AJ. Two times. I saw one time it was a route, and it was like the quarterback Hurst was like running for his life, and AJ was just walking off the ball. So that I didn't really like that. And then there's another play where I felt like he could have gave a little bit more effort on the wheel route. Yeah, and it would have probably came open. I think it ended up being the first interception for Hurts. Actually, he didn't get an interception. I think it was a batted ball or something. But I'm starting to see some stuff out of that I'm not particularly loving right now.
And we've called him out on film before.
Yeah.
We've definitely caught, and there's tendencies. CeeDee Lamb did it this past game.
Oh, yeah.
The one that Garner Johnson, he turned that down. Like, yeah, you're going to get hit, but that shouldn't have been an interception. That should have been a collision. It shouldn't have been an interception. No. And then he walked, literally, once he picked it, because you slowed down to get out of his way. So you should be the person that's tackling him. He didn't make the tackle. He was walking. It was crazy. I was like, man.
That's receivers, man. That's how y'all do
it,
man.
Oh, hold on. Time out. There's some. Before we get out of here, we got to do these. Plug inside the birds. Why am I reading the stuff that I don't supposed to read?
He tired, boss. He was up too late partying last night. He was in the street partying with the Eagle fans, man.
The Eagles fans last night getting lit. No, in all seriousness, make sure you try patreon.com/inside the birds. Again, patreon.com/inside the birds for bonus exclusive podcasts and more content from Adam Kaplan, Jeff Mosher, everyone at Inside the Birds. There is private content and chats that could be useful to everyone. Definitely above the board. Q is looking at me with skepticism there. And Q, why you gotta make
I
this?
mean, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on in this private private chat rooms, man. What you got going on over there?
Hey, what I got going on? This is Adam and Jeff. Adam and Jeff, what do you got going on in this private chat room? We gonna definitely got dude. This is funny stuff. But make sure you tune in to Patreon. There's giveaways. You can come out to Jack's Bar and Grill at Rivers Casino. Check us out. Sign merch, giveaway tickets, all types of things for patreon.com/inside the birds. And also make sure you come out to check out Launch Trampoline Park in Deptford, New Jersey. This is the Q&A podcast. Thank you to everyone that's making this show possible. Make sure you send your questions to insidethebirds@gmail.com. Again, insidethebirds@gmail.com. This show will air every Tuesday, and it will be aired on Amazon, Apple Music, YouTube channel, Inside the Birds platform. I'm Jason Avant. Q has the final words.
As always, it's been great. Great to be 6-0. Let's make it 7-0 in a couple weeks, folks.
Let's go. Peace.